People fill me with so much worry. It's not right that you do what you do. Then, like I said in the first one, I'm gonna take it down and put this one down because I want to extend on it. That I have to rely on other people or other bodies, if you want to say. And I'm gonna say that because then you get Mr. Nosy, um, whatchamacallit, all into my life again. But you have to rely on other people to come in and be like, we got him. You know, y'all are wrong. And my thing is, what if they don't? I sit here miserable. I sit here drudging on. Somebody else tries to make you happy and you feel happy. You're like, yay. And then you're like, but now I want to be like you. And will I be like you? So then we're left with each other. And, it's like, how, like, can I provide for you? Do you need help? Is but is there anything that you need? And then I'm like, and that leaves me curious because then people play on that and act like I'm doing something wrong or there's something else, and then they do their tricks and try to mix and mingle and cover up and steal and lie. And it's just like that endless, repetitive, selfish cycle. And that junk hurts because I'm sitting here like, I don't do nothing to the people down the hall. I didn't really do nothing to staff. I didn't really do nothing to people walking down the street. I didn't really do anything to the police officers. I didn't really do anything to the drug dealers. I didn't really do anything to gay people. I didn't really do anything to racist white people. I didn't really do anything to anybody for people to come back like this. And then y'all force me to possibly mess up a friendship because they either come in after you and try to right your wrong and it's misunderstood, and I'm like, I say things or think things that are inappropriate. Then I apologize. I'm like, well, if it's not for you, then don't take it that way. You have to learn how not to take things that way. Like if I said, oh, like the whole wish death on you, did it go to the right person? And only they can know that. Like I said, my harassers. So then if they weren't harassing, then it went to somebody else. So you drop that. But then somebody else keeps bringing it up like, oh, like they're them. And then that puts more stress on me. Or they try to get sympathy from other people. Oh, see, we were doing this and he was talking about us. And it's like, no. Y'all must have been the ones harassing me the whole time, which were people around. And it's like you try to be as politically tongued as possible. But actually, I am, once you think about it, people have to take and twist and turn things and make the intent incorrect. And that's for her because I'm like, nobody's thinking about me. Nobody's thinking about me wanting to have my son, aka Justice, and how I'll be able to provide for him. And say, oh, go get a job. I can't just go get a job now. I have all of this working. I have when I go out, I have when I'm at home, I have when I walk and take a shower, I have outside the shower, I have people talking. You know what I mean? Like I had like somebody felt like they were watching me. Or I had people what they had to have been watching. And then I had people when I sleep talking to other people, telling other people lies. How do you think a company's going to take that? I show up for an interview and you got all this going on. You're like, oh, well, you shouldn't have did that. Technically, I did drugs in college. Popped E pills, smoked weed, this, that, and the third. And I would say that to anybody. But then I stopped. And then I got more jobs. And I traveled. And I got other jobs. So that's really not a issue. It's everybody else's temperament. Like if I went right now, I'd pass a drug test and probably get the job, right? But then when I get on the job, what are y'all gonna do? So it's like you put me in a situation to where nobody thinks about me. Like what happens after like y'all outside or neighbors or other people make your little money, like or play your little games or I guess they want to say the gay people were trying to use me and get my money and give me fake stuff at one point. I was like, oh, okay, so now instead of helping, you're using. Thought you were trying to help prove a point. Because at one point I was like, okay, this is not real, right? Yeah, it can't be real. So they must be trying to help prove a point. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, because it's obviously not being proven enough for y'all to grasp that it wasn't. But then all of a sudden, somebody started mixing, I think tried to mix real with it. And I was like, oh, Lord. So now I have to differentiate the two. And now somebody wants to call it out, and then somebody wants to get me hooked, and then somebody wants to use me, and then somebody wants to lie, and somebody wants to talk about my sexuality, and it's like, dang. It begins to hurt because I'm like, and the whole thing about the apartment, I didn't intentionally set it on fire. That was totally unintentional. I was trying to look under the bed, but it's like when I tried to look, the bed went down. Or when I put the heater at the end of the bed, it started heating up the blanket. So I was like, okay. And then I guess that, with the combination of that, just was like, and I'm like, it wasn't that I tried to do it. And then the afterthought was, oh my God, you're right. Because she was like, oh, they're going to find you another place. And my whole face changed. It's like, you're right. They have to find me another place. Wow, there is a blessing in this curse. Because now I lost everything that I was happily building. I was like, ooh, I've got my first paid off couch. Not saying I didn't buy a couch somewhere else, but a couch that I actually paid monthly on. Because other stuff I usually would buy outright. Like, okay, let me just take $200-$300 and get this couch over here. It's cheap, I don't care, it works. Or my mom had a couch and she about to get a new couch. So I'm gonna take this couch from the house and pull it over here in my house and just carry this around from house to house to house to house to house because I love the couch. Like the couch was kind of old, it was big, it was on the L shades, but that couch had sentimental value to me because I used to always curl up with my dog or with her dog or with her girlfriend's dog that I call my dog. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, or her friend's dog that I call my dog. And it was like, it had value to me. I was like, wow, this is my first like $700. I think it was like $700 total. I was like, I paid the monthly on it, and this, that, and the third, and then I went and bought the bed, and then I went and bought TV. So it's pretty much like I furnished my place, and from like going to a store, because sometimes I go from like the cheaper end stores, da da da. So I was like, oh no, I'm gonna go to this store and that store and this store, and bought my stuff myself, which I have done before in Georgia, and which I have done in New York. But it was sentimental to me, and now I'm burning it all. So then you try to take that and you try to belittle it and make it about them again. Oh, you tried to, like, you was trying to hurt my family. Stop. Nobody was trying to hurt your family. There were plenty of the people yelling in the hall, calling the fire department to get people out. But you make that whole situation about y'all again. And I'm like, dang. Like, when will it ever be about me? You had your moment. People are looking at you, yeah, yay, supporting you. Okay, take that and go away from me. Like, don't sit around and harping on the situation. Don't sit around and try to make yourself seem like, such a bad guy. And I'm like, so now I'm such a bad guy, and y'all are like dead wrong. Like now I'm sitting over here in a room and somebody's like trying to belittle me here and then trying to like act like they're about to start bigging more people up. And I'm just like, dang. So this is like a never ending story with you. Well, some of you. And then I have to rely on other people to come in and say, like, oh, well, that's messed up. And, maybe we know somebody can get him an apartment, or maybe we know somebody can get him together some money, or maybe we can da 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 da. And then even with the, what do you call it? The agency side of things, y'all play too. And then come back, oh, well, we can get you some money for furniture, or oh, we can try to get you a place in another apartment. I'm like, but still, I still went through all that. Like, you don't know how it feels to have, for somebody to feel like you're in complete and utter, and I want to get like emotional over this, but y'all don't understand how it feels like to be alone. And then have something you don't know, or you're not aware of, or you're not able to grasp, help you out. You don't know who this person is. You don't know what is doing what. You don't really get to see the face of somebody that's helping you. And then all of a sudden it feels like they leave. And I'm like, there by myself again with everybody coming at me. People not doing their job. People on their job messing with you. People coming into people's job messing with you. People just coming around messing with you. People listening and not even knowing what they're doing messing with you. And you sitting here having to like push and call people out and say stop and try to stand up for yourself and try to stand up for yourself but not make a fool of yourself. And then have somebody trying to call you out about not necessarily making a stand up for yourself. And I'm like, but I am. Like, I'm doing the complaints, I'm doing the things that you're supposed to do. The typical line of like the chain of going through the chain of command type thing, like the hierarchy. Okay, they have this in place. You're supposed to call through rule one. When you do this, they give you another number. When they give you that, you give the da-da-da-da. You call the police. And then if the police don't do anything, you write CCRB. And if CCRB doesn't do anything, you go and you do an internal affairs. And if your internal affairs doesn't do anything, you do a Department of FBI. And if the FBI doesn't do anything, you do Department of Justice. And you do all these different lines and chains of commands to which, you know what? Maybe I should just start calling it out. Completely. Because it doesn't feel like anybody's doing what they should. Then somebody brings in what you need and makes a mockery of it. Like you would have needed somebody to pay you for all these troubles. And it's like, oh, well, come up, we got you. Now you're running around looking like a dummy, not with your hand out, but trying to figure out, you're saying my name, so you're talking about me. And you've harassed or you've done me wrong, so I'm guessing, or people have done me wrong, so I'm guessing you're either A, the people that done me wrong, B, the ones that are actually just trying to look out. But I'm like, either or would be good, so I can go on with my life. But then you got something else. Now you got somebody around that wants to be nosy. Then you got somebody else wants to act like you're trying to be above people, because they kept saying with that leader thing, because I guess you want me to get this type of complex to where I start bossing people around, or I feel like I'm better than, or I feel like I'm better than that. But I'm like, how can I in my situation when you make it so selfish? And then I try not to be selfish. The whole time I'm giving, like people asking money on the train, like homeless people asking for $1 and I give it, but then they start acting funny. And I'm like, wow. And then I try to talk, and then somebody else trying to show, oh, this is what I can make. This is what I can make them, or I guess we can do. or I can make them do. So it's like maybe they're not doing it for a reason. Maybe they're trying to show you we can do this, but we haven't. So stop. We can do everything you did to him to all of you. Is that what that is? Might be. Who knows? But then all of a sudden, oh, now why you call him? It's not a terrorist. That's a friend. That's somebody saying, just because y'all think y'all big and bad and bullies, we have the capability of bullying you back. So maybe you should just do right by him and leave him alone. But then you have somebody else that comes in and wants to say, oh, we want all this money. What about our people? And it's like, you weren't even a part of the situation. Now you're putting yourself in it. Now you're making it seem like it's y'all. Now you're trying to get a payday too. But I wasn't trying to get a payday. That's the thing. I was trying to alleviate myself of the situation. Two totally different things. But then you have people that want to point out how NYCHA is ran, which I understand. I was like, wow, I get it. You're right. Like NYCHA is kind of needs a roadmap for change. And kind of done people wrong. I get how gay people have been subjugated because, of course, like I've seen it firsthand. How it's hard to get a job, or how if you get a job, you got to be that gay guy to make everybody laugh and be like fabulous and live this fabulous lifestyle and be that guy that entertains. And then how it's white and you're white and you want to hang and be like, you know, with other cultures, but you get looked at as, oh, that racist white guy when you're not that racist white guy. Or how you get, oh, well, we're in the hood and we're a deli and we're selling you what you want, what you ask for. And then we change because the neighborhood changes. And do we get looked at as, oh, you've changed? No, we have to change because the neighborhood changed. You have to put a glass front out. But it's because, like, what happens, like, if somebody comes in graffitis or somebody comes in and you're like, okay, well, we're not the ones, we're not all doing it. We see that. But I'm sorry, they probably see that. But on the flip side of that, you have what? You have how some are allowed to do it. How some don't say nothing. How some don't stand up for that person that's sitting there and like, I'm wanting to fight for y'all. You know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to write to the chair board. I'm willing to go do this. I'm willing to go to these things, but will you let me? And will you back me once I start getting back slapped and uppercutted by people that want to threaten me? When the cops come and they're hemming me up, are you going to say stop? Are you going to give them your name? Are you going to come up and get their name? I remember, I think it was like a few times I've seen it. And I stepped up and I was like, I don't think you got to do all that. To let the cop know somebody was watching. I forget what happened. Something happened. I stepped up. Two or three times. And I was like, whoa, like, dude, you're doing too much. You know what I mean? Like, and da-da-da-da. Or trying to have a conversation where can you knock and talk to them so that we're not going back and forth? Can you do your job appropriately? That way it doesn't escalate. Like the assault thing. I was at one point I was thinking, I was like, well, dang, if he came and he apologized and he rectified the situation. When I say rectify, you knock on their door. You get onto them. Like, look, y'all are wrong. I sat there and I heard y'all mess with this man. And y'all had me assault him, trying to stand up for y'all. And could damn near get me arrested, and y'all sitting here laughing like it's funny. Like I should turn around and insult y'all for that. But instead, you just kind of let it go and build it up and kind of like cover it up and make it seem like, and it's like that's messed up. Like how can you sit there and let that happen and then not apologize? Like you walked by the stairwell twice. You saw me twice after that. And then have somebody talk about, oh, because this could be like the drug dealers, right? This could be the bad people in your neighborhood instigating the situation, wanting to see a fight, wanting to see, what was it, a bashing. And I was like, whoa. That is crazy. And it's like you're just sitting there watching. So the neighbor that was in school, cooking, quiet, wasn't really even smoking. Going to school, trying to graduate, trying to better himself. Immaculate apartment. When I tell you that apartment, that floor, I'm a real stickler about floors. That floor was to the T. Like I have to use my floor, what is it called? Foot sweep in here and spray with bleach just to make sure it's clean and to kind of eat the stuff off the floor in here. But the floors in here is still clean. I don't even have a broom. I typically don't like walking around in my shoes. I went from not walking around in my shoes to walking around in my shoes and not caring because I was tired. But you had a neighbor like that. One that very well could have watched your kids while you left. Well, just tell them knock on the door if they need something. Was not doing diddly squat. And trying to contribute. Like I was like, okay, well once I finish this, I'm gonna try to save my money again, get a car. I was like, if I just get an Uber, I'll get a freaking like a $5,000 something that's new enough to drive people in. You know what I mean? And I can just drive that around. Drive, do Uber, and stay here and go to school and finish my. I'm probably gonna go ahead and do the masters, and then be like, I don't definitely not coming back to any of this because I tried to go on whatchamacallit. I was like, I figure I could try get something enough to, and I was doing it, but all of a sudden you get to whatchamacallit. It doesn't matter how hard you worked, and then the recommendation of the manager, you got people that what? Want to mess it up again. You got on too. With them. Not only are they looking, and then some, you got your own that are competing against you. I was like, why are you, we're not even, there's nobody even going after my job. The only person next in line is me. It's not nobody else. It was the operations manager and pretty much me, which was the supervisor, but I didn't really have nobody to supervise except for everybody else in other areas, like the janitorial, the staff. We're supposed to go into even the general manager's staff, which is sales and trainers. You're supposed to be operational. You're supposed to make sure the whole place is operational, meaning, inventory, cleanliness, making sure that things are monitored, making sure accounts are monitored, making sure the customers are happy. So that person at a gym takes on a lot more. Like usually the front cashier person, not the cashier person, the front person that you would think to be the cashier, the customer service rep or whatever, is operations. And they usually are the ones that are in control of a whole lot more than just that front kiosk, especially if you're the head. So if you're the head and you're there by yourself, and it's only one of you, typically it was only one. So it wasn't like it was me and a manager. It was me and the general manager. So that made me pretty much the operations manager. That's why whatchamacallit was like, yeah, well, whatchamacallit isn't even here. You're right. So what would that make me? And it's like, I put effort after effort after effort after effort. I didn't want to come back to New York. I went to AWDA, which is Atlanta Workforce Development Agency. Put in my stuff long time ago to be a tech. They waited a year. I had my stuff in the first 3 weeks, done. She said, come the next day, try to do orientation, bam. She said, get your resume done. I was at the library the next day, turned it in the following Monday, bam. I was ready. Like, okay, let's go. Took a year to when I get in the shelter. All this stuff is like set for me to fail. I was like, so y'all all were like trying, was it, did you set this up to try to make somebody feel sorry for somebody? And then when you did that, I sit here like, wow, at how y'all try to manipulate the situation and then make me look bad. They came to New York, put in 7 apartments, all denied. Then they go back and say, oh, well, we're going to up the limit. I was like, okay, well, I can't stay here because there's too much going on. Right when things were kind of turning, even worked for that place that closed down, the children with special needs, or that closed down on